Psychic Admission. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. We normally talk about things that affect business life and so forth. I'm a business investor, and I like to talk about all the different stages of a business owner's journey because we're always in one stage or another, and sometimes reliving old stages, starting from the beginning again, and or teaching new people how to do it. And so in that process, you kind of have to put yourself back in that position of, okay, why am I doing what I'm doing? How did I get where I am? Oh, and I could see my wine glass is in the camera. So I am not inebriated, but I have had a sip of wine before I got started here today. It's my wife's birthday, so I wanted to talk about something that's a little seems off topic, but it has something. I'm going to tie it back into business somehow, and that is psychic energy. That's right. We're going to talk about psychic energy. Let's see if you can follow this. This is a funny thing. So these are these little prompt cards. These are conversation prompts. This is the icebreaker deck. It has a whole bunch of these little things that help you to start a conversation. They're fun if you're just hanging out, even with people you know really well. I love doing it with my family. It's just sitting around, and it has little questions on it. And this question brought up so much in my mind that I wanted to discuss it here and probably stretch it out over at least two videos. Simple question is, what was your first car? Now, what does having a first car have to do with psychic energy? Well, I'll tell you. I didn't have a very specific first car. We were going through a period of time in my family when we had a whole lot of different cars. And it's a very interesting dynamic. I remember the first car that mattered the most to me, and I'm going to talk about that in the next episode. But I'm also going to talk about a situation that I experienced when I was younger, that I I related all the way up till today. And you're going to come across this in some format. And I've heard a lot of people talk about it. Most people don't like talking about it because it's weird and it's something that no one has a really clear cut answer for. But I am certain that your mood and how you handle things affects electronics and mechanics. I'm certain of this. Now, hear me out on this. Hear me out. So, for example, when I was first starting to learn how to drive, we we were in a situation in my family when we didn't have any super reliable cars for me to drive. The reliable ones were being taken up by my parents, and so we'd buy a clunker or what have you, and or something that seemed like it was a good deal at the time, and then it would turn out to have issues. And for years and years and years, I used to stress about it to the point to where every time I got into one of these vehicles, I would I would be on edge because I'm waiting for the thing to do something bad. I'm waiting for it to break down. I'm waiting for it to start smoking. I'm waiting for it to start making noises. Um, and that type of expectation, I am certain, affects cars, specifically cars. But I'm gonna relate it back to other mechanics and electronics because for a number of years, no matter what car I would get into, we would end up having trouble with it. And it was not just, I'm certain it's not just because we were working with lower end vehicles. I honestly believe that my attitude affected what happened with these vehicles. Not all the way, not completely. Certainly, it had something to do with my decision making process. If you could only say that much, if you are stressed out and focused on the wrong thing, you're going to do the wrong things, which can create certain outcomes. So you could say it all happened because of that. But it's a very strange thing because I've experienced the opposite of this. So with cars, I noticed that. And when I started to learn how to just back off and just go, whatever happens, happens. It's no big deal. I've been through enough chaos with vehicles in the past. We can handle anything that comes our way. And once I started getting that way, I never had massive issues with cars ever since. And it seems like this period of time in my life where it was nothing but massive issues with cars. And then from that point on, never massive issues with cars. Any issue we had, we got it fixed, and that was that. And I didn't make it a personal thing. I didn't make it a huge emotional, traumatic event. I just let it ride. It's just a car. You know, whatever it is, we'll fix it or we'll get a new one. And whatever needs to happen is going to happen. And when I had that type of attitude, it all worked out better. Now, it could all be in my head. And you could say, Brian, it's all in your head. It didn't really affect it. But here's the other way around. The funny thing is I grew up around computers. Not a lot of computers. It was more, in my later childhood and early adulthood that my father started bringing home personal computers, PCs, and stuff. I mean, we had smaller ones around the house when I was younger, but then we had ones we could actually use. We could get on there and do our homework on and so forth. And so I got very comfortable with computers at a pretty early age. This would have been the mid '90s, and as I grew up, I realized that a whole lot of people did not have that, including a lot of people my age. Most of the people younger than me tend to have the same attitude toward computers and anything that has a computer in it, your phone and what have you. That they tend to be easygoing about that type of thing because they grew up around it and they're comfortable. But anybody that's uncomfortable with it, they will cause problems to happen in the computer. And because it's never bothered me, I've always been seen, a lot of people see me as some tech guru or someone that is super good with computers. I'm not really all that good with computers. They don't bother me. So I can usually fumble my way around it to find the answer. It's not that I know the answer or I know exactly what to do. I know what not to do, and I'm not worried about it. And so I end up finding my way through it most of the time, or I know when to junk it or when to take it to the repair. So funny thing is, this happens all the time, and you'll see it if you have any type of IT position or anything of that sort. Someone will be having an issue with a computer. As soon as you walk in the room, the issue resolves itself. This happens over and over and over again. And sometimes it's something mechanical with the CD player or whatever in the computer, and sometimes it's just the energy you bring and it all works out. Why? I don't know. I've always found a way, once I learned how to not sweat mechanical things and electrical things, and this goes into washers and dryers, this goes into everything that's ever had an issue. When someone's really stressed out, if I come into the picture and handle it with an opposite energy, everything always works out. It always works out. Maybe it's psychic forces coming through it. I don't know that. What I do know is that attitude affects every situation, including things that you can't really explain, that you can't necessarily get in there and fix, that you don't necessarily have the knowledge of. You have the ability to overcome problems with the right attitude. If you understand that for yourself, I'm sure you all have experiences like that to one extent or another. If you experience that for yourself, then you can pass it on if you learn to just voice it, talk about it. So these are issues I like bringing up. Tomorrow I'm going to talk a little bit more about my first car and an amazing situation that I learned from that. What I would consider my first car. In most cases, I would answer questions when it came to my first car. So you'll be able to look up my passwords and everything because I'll be telling you what my first car is next time. So you have a great night. Go check out my training all about content marketing and whether it's right for you or not, because it's not right for everybody. Go check out the training, contentmarketingquestion.com. We'll be back next time. In the meantime, get out there and let the magic happen.